first taste of coffee in the morning is just phenomenal. 10 degrees below zero, 68 inside, and it's 1:38 in the morning. And normally I don't get up this early, but I get off work early today anyway, so get off work at 11 as opposed to my usual noon. I'm gonna relax, have a little bit of coffee, check some emails, and then jump back outside again and see what I can see if I can catch any of that northern light action this morning. Alrighty, off work for the day. Got done early this morning. And got out of there as soon as I possibly could. Just stopped by the auto parts store and pick up some oil to change the oil in the generator. Gotta let it go a little bit longer than I normally should. Check the hours when I get home, but I've run it a lot more than I had in the past. So I'm sure it's time. And the snow just kept falling, but it hasn't snowed that much here in town, or snowed as much as it did out in Funny River this morning. I was going to say, before my alarm went off to tell me it was time to go home, but I'm going to flip the camera around here and show you what it looks like on the roads now. And it's warm. It's 30 degrees right now. And I mean, while it's still snowing, 30-degree temperatures with snow on the road means it's slicker than snot. It's good snowman snow. It's terrible to drive in. Might pop the camera back on a little bit later through this drive and show what we look like when we get out more towards home in Funny River. I got a list of chores I got to get done today, including some more videotape, so that I could finish up this week's installment of Sean in Alaska for you. All right, we got about, well, what the road looks like here, we got about 6 inches of snow. Still at 28 degrees out here at the good old Funny River, headed out towards Apache Acres. Not a lot of traffic on this road during the winter, so it's usually pretty easy to drive. The main road was a tad squirrely in spots, but it wasn't that bad still. Get a better look for how much snow I got here when we get to the driveway. There is a great deal of snow on the ground right now. You can hardly see the tracks from when I left this morning. And not as much as I thought, because I cleaned off the tip of the generator shed earlier in the week. You saw that in the video, and it looks like there's only about 3 inches there, maybe. So I gotta throw the 2x6s, 2x8s rather, in the back of the truck. So that I can pick up the snowblower tomorrow from Kodiak Jack. All right. Now that I'm home, I got stuff I got to get done. So I'm going to be busy here. Let me fire up the camera, bring it out, and let it kind of set and acclimate to the temperature. And you guys can watch me and see what I have to do when I come home with snow. like I said when I came in, I shoveled all this off the other day, so we're only looking at about 3 or 4 inches of snow here. Check my fuel status, half a tank. Check my oil here before I get started. I'm going to need a wrench to open up the oil pan. I'm going to probably mute out this section because this generator is way too loud. Let's throw some music in here, shall we? just keep dropping everything, don't I? Dropsy-opsies. So I run synthetic oil in here, and I switched over to synthetic after when I did the first oil change. Figured it would be helpful with the wear on the generator when we had the extreme cold temperatures. And I'm using a 5W30 in here. How much I got left? That's about it. Usually a cord out, cord in. And I am going to have to clean this off before I fire her back up. The old oil that I have here I'm using for, I don't really know yet. I'll find a use for it though, or I will recycle it, one or the other. All right, let's see what happens, shall we? I want to get the snow off the top of that because it's really, really thin gauge plastic. And I'll bring the camera in there and show you what I'm talking about, but there was way too much weight on there and I should have cleaned that off beforehand. This is the lock for the inside, and I had an issue with it being too loose and it keeps slipping down and locking, so I'm going to fix that right now as well. You know, I haven't really showed you a whole lot about the outhouse yet, so let's go take a look at that real quick, and I want to explain a few things to you, because it's a little different than what you might expect. So this is called a composting outhouse. There is no hole dug in the ground here. What I have is a bucket underneath the seat there, and then I've got a piece of this blue foam on top of here. I'm not going to lift this because I do use it, and you don't need to see that right now. But surprisingly, when you're in here, it still smells like the wood that I built it with. I mean, it still smells fresh, clean, nice, and neat. Basically, I've got a bag lined inside of a bucket. I take care of my business there. And then I take the humanure. I didn't make the name up, that's what it's called. And I use it out in the woods. So I basically just compost it out there. This never will fill up because, you know, I can move this wherever I need it to be. There's no hole here in the ground that's going to fill up. There's nothing that's going into my water table directly. And it works very, very well. Like I said, it smells very, very fresh in here. Now, I'm sure in the spring there will be other issues, and at that point I'll add cedar shavings and stuff. But what I did was I put a couple of stops here, here, and here, so that when I close the door will only close so far. And then I can latch it right out here to keep the door closed. Provo Privy, if you've ever watched John Wayne and the Green Berets, that's where that comes from. On the inside, what you saw me fix there is this piece right here. So when I'm in, I just fold it down, locks it so that the door won't open while I'm in there, fold it back up when I'm not using it, and that way I can open and close the door unless it gets stuck like it did that time again. So really, really simple design. The other thing is that the inside here, the roof that I just shoveled off, and I just told you that it was plastic and I needed to clean it off. I'll get a picture of that for you too. I don't need a hole in the door because this allows me all the light that I need. Let me show you what I mean by that. So when I'm sitting down in the outhouse, I have plenty of room, right? Plenty of room for my feet. I've got some storage over here. I've got some TP over here. I'm sitting on the blue foam. But this is the door closed, and this is how bright it is in here without any lights or anything whatsoever. And that's all because I've got a clear plastic ceiling on there. Makes all the difference in the world. Now, I did reinforce that ceiling with some 2x4s. And so the weight is distributed throughout the front, the center, so there's quite a bit of support on there. But even though I did not want to have to worry about that collapsing, so I went ahead and shoveled the snow off of there. What I will tell you is it leaks. So I should have used roofing screws in here, and I didn't. I just used regular screws in here to screw it down. I'll get leaks here, and I'll get leaks everywhere that I broke it, putting the screws in. So, man, I'll probably pick up some new plastic here in the spring and go ahead and do that as well. Upgrade it and make it look a little bit nicer in here. But quite a bit of room. I mean, surprisingly a lot of room in here. And like I said, this blue foam at 20 degrees below zero, you walk out here, you drop your pants, you sit down, your butt does not get cold. I mean, you are instantly warm on that blue foam. I don't care. It can be 20 degrees below zero out here for 3 or 4 days in a row. You sit on this foam and you do not get cold at all. I mean, you do not feel the chill at all. But it's really a nice little addition to the old camp here. And then, like I said here, this is how I latch it when I get in so that the door doesn't open while I'm in here. And then, boom, out. Quite a bit of snow building up around it. I did not expect that. So the door's kind of catching right there. Latch those, and we're good to go. As far as liquid waste, okay, so when I'm using the outhouse, that's for solid waste, and I try not to use any liquid waste in there at all. So as far as liquid waste is concerned, I use the old honeypot method. So I've got a container inside the trailer, and I take care of the liquid waste business there, and then I just walk out into the woods here and pour it out when it gets full. So it's got a cap on it. There's no smell. There's no odor from it whatsoever. It's roughing it. It's what happens when you live off the grid and you're not really set up with a bathroom or anything at this point. Like I had said before, the bathroom is at the back of the trailer there, the very far back part of the trailer. Let me show you. So at the very, very end of the trailer over here is where the bathroom's at. And I gutted that whole thing out because, well, I do have a holding tank in there. The holding tank just runs straight out. So I did not want to use the restroom at all in there. And the toilet had actually been removed and there was a hole in the floor. And that was in a previous video. One of the first little projects that I did here on the property. Flip this around here. One of the first little projects I did here on the property was that converting that bathroom into a storage unit. And much happier that I have it as a storage unit than I do as a restroom, because the outhouse works much, much better. It's much easier to keep clean and neat and organized. So I did fire up the generator, charged all my equipment back up again after the oil change. I changed the oil roughly every 50 hours. That time I went a little bit longer, and the oil change didn't happen until about 75 hours. So I'll go ahead and I'll change it at 50 hours again. But then I'm going to look at it and see... That's the third oil change that I've done on it. So I don't know if I need to do it every 50 hours or every 100 hours. I'll go ahead and search that up. This generator has just been for me though. I mean, the thing runs like a top. It's got the remote start on it. I have left it on in the on position, in the run position here now for the last, month and a half. And every time I need to fire it up, I just push the button and it has fired up down to about 11 degrees below zero. I haven't really tried it other than that. The cable comes out here. It actually runs through the snow and is buried over here and then comes up on the back of the trailer right there and connects in. Those two bottles underneath are for the stove inside and for the oven. And I don't use the heater for that, but I'm kind of getting ahead of where I'm at with all of my fuel needs. So my propane bottles are all full. My gas jugs are full right now. So I'm in great shape, but the snow over here is just amazing. I mean, it is pretty amazing. This pile is from the shovel, is from shoveling out this walkway area right here. This was an old gas can that I had buried in there that I'll probably use in the spring. Where it levels out there, that is how high the snow is right now. That's how much snow we've had fall right here. And if you look from the side, it's a good 2 feet. I should grab the tape measure and take a look at it. We got, I'm looking at about 3.5, 4 inches right there on the roadway. But just some of the things I have to deal with every single day living here. I love it. I am having a blast with it. And it's been a learning experience. So every single thing that goes wrong allows me to learn how to do it right. And nothing dangerous has happened yet. Other than the fact that I dropped the tree on the truck. And no truck was harmed in the making of that video. So I was working on cleaning out the inside of, I'll spin this around here. I was working on cleaning around the inside of the area where the chicken coop's going to be. Trimmed up some logs, drug them off to the side. I've got some more logs to clean out, but I was fighting a losing battle with the snow, and the temperatures are going to drop pretty good again this weekend. So I'll throw the snowsuit on again and get out here this weekend and see what I can do about getting the rest of those trees trimmed up and cleaned up. But I'm going to wait for the cold weather, because right now I'm just getting wet. It's just a miserable wet experience out there in the pants that I'm wearing. They're not snowproof. They're not waterproof. And when I was changing the oil, I'm kneeling down in the snow and my knees got cold. That's it. I will show you that as the water melts off the roof of the fifth wheel trailer here, this is pretty cool. I get icicles. Is that neat or what? And that thing goes all the way down. And that is a massive pile of ice right there. And that ice runs all the way down underneath everything here, all the way to here. But the driveway is still intact. Everything looks good there. I did not cover up the fire pit before this snowstorm. I did throw the oil rags in there. I'll burn those up, the ones that I used to wipe up the oil. But I didn't cover up the fire pit, so I am going to have a fire tomorrow night, unless it's too cold, which I don't think it will be. I'll sit in a snowsuit if I have to. Maybe throw something on the barbecue. But I try to keep that covered up with the wood so that when I want to have a fire, I don't have to dig it out. I kind of had to dig it out today. Anyway, woke up because I heard a ding on my phone, and it was the aurora notification saying that I had like a 27% chance of seeing the northern lights tonight. So I said, forget it. I'll go ahead and I'll get up and see if I can't see them. And nothing yet. They said I got about 10 minutes left before I should be able to, quote, see them the best. So I'm going to probably brew a pot of coffee and get up and start my day. Check the temperature real quick, too. The crazy part was that in order to get back into the fifth wheel trailer, the doorknob was locked, or wasn't locked, it was frozen. So I actually had to grab a log and beat the doorknob so that would break the ice on the inside. It is 10 below zero outside right now. A little chilly. Son of a gun. Time for coffee. Oh, it's about 3:20 in the morning, and I haven't really had a chance to take any pictures yet of the lights, because I really haven't seen them yet around the cabin or around the trailer. So I'm leaving a little bit earlier for work, about 15 minutes earlier. Hopefully if I see them somewhere, I can stop and get a picture of them. Brought my tripod because it's super important to make sure that the camera stays still, and it's a long exposure photo, and you just can't hold it that long without getting all the streaking and everything else in there. And it's chilly this morning. I haven't started moving the truck yet, but it says 4 below, and it's colder than that. It's like 10 below right now. Just another beautiful day in Alaska. I probably should put my keys in my truck, huh? That's the one thing about remote start. At least probably 25% of the time, I actually forget to put my keys in. And I can tell because the headlights won't come on unless you've got your keys in there. Oh, goodness gracious. Should be a pretty drive in anyway. We've got like a full moon out there, so should be pretty gorgeous. Moon's kind of setting a bit. Hopefully it won't interfere with the lights themselves. We shall see. I'm excited. I want it to work. I want to get some pictures of the northern lights for you guys. That I really haven't seen them much myself this year at all. This last week, 5 days or so, have been very active for the aurora borealis, or northern lights, up here in Alaska. Unfortunately, for most of the last 5 days, well, for all of the last 5 days pretty much, every time I go out to look, we have cloud cover, and you know, this morning the cloud cover's gone. The northern lights are created basically from projections from the sun bouncing off the magnetic field of the Earth. They charge the particles in the air. You can get multiple colors. The ones that I've seen the most of are green. So green's like the first stage. But I'll post a picture here too of one I took just with the cell phone and just a regular snapshot when I pulled into work one morning. And you can see there's some pinks and some blues in there as well. Those were just epic. That was probably 2 or 3 years ago. Probably 2 years ago. And I can't believe they actually showed up on the camera, because most of the time they won't. But those were very bright that night. That's all I could do to go from my truck inside the store. I wanted to just stay outside and watch them. I think I've said it before, but I like to think of them as the gift we get for dealing with the winters up here. And you can see them in the lower 48 of the United States. But it has to be a pretty intense storm for us to get, a solar storm. Ah, there they are. I can see them back behind my shoulder. I gotta get a place to pull over here. Don't know if I'm going to pick them up with the camera, just because I'm looking back towards somewhere with light. So let's give it a shot real quick and see what we can come up with. Sweet, I got one to come out. That's awesome. Now I really wish I would have left and come out and done this a little bit earlier. It's 16 degrees below zero out there right now. That picture is just a band. I want to get one with the curtains, and I'm going to get into some darker areas up here as I continue driving towards work that should make it easier to see them. And they kind of solidify, so because we have that band, we should be able to see some curtains here in a bit if they get any more intense, which is what I'm looking forward to. Very cool. First picture I've ever taken with this cell phone of the Northern Lights, using all the adjustments, and it turned out pretty well. Pretty cool. I love them. I love them. They make me happy. All right, we're going to keep driving. Right now the temperature, like I said, is 16 degrees below zero, and we haven't even hit the cold spot of the drive yet.